Dear friends, I'm glad to meet you all on Feygin Live. It is Monday, 4th of July, Independence Day in the United States. 10:01 Kiev time, PM, day 131 with Olexiy Arestovych. Good evening to your house. Alright, we have over 130,000 people watching us. Over 10,000 already left their likes. As always, I do ask you to please share links to that stream on your social media. Leave your likes. As always, subscribe to Feygin Live, to Olexiy Arestovych, and to the Privateer station if you're watching that in English. Mark is missing about 1,500 to 1,580,000 subscribers, so please help him get there. Same as Olexiy Arestovych is climbing to the new highs, so many things happened in the last couple days. We'll be showing the map, but we'll start maybe... Let's start with Lysychansk, because we had a ton of questions about that, and many of them were, you promised us the city will be defended, although I do agree that more than logical was the decision to withdraw the troops from a potential capital, and as far as I understand, Ukraine military left Lysychansk. Will be defending? You mean me and you will go and defend it? Well, I am not allowed to, but yeah, I think everybody wants to send you to fight. I am, and I do, but Mark, other people want pictures, but we can't. Alright, what I wanted to say, we indeed left Lysychansk, and right now the front line goes from Belogorovka on the north to so Belogorovka, Bakhmut-Lysychansk to Klimova. When we talked last time, I told you that we're still claiming the city, but we did have only some special forces in the city left who are helping artillery to target the enemy. Right now there is nobody there, even special forces withdrew. So see, the line of front is generally straightening. They'll be pushing probably to Krasnaya Gora, Nikolaevka, Alexandrovka, Seversk. So that line is sort of the last line that we have. And after that, the line of front will be pretty straight, without any indents, outdents on it. How much will it stabilize the whole position on the front? It will, of course, because the increase of density of troops, and we talked about what happens when Russian troops try to attack head-on. We talked about Izum example, where they were trying to do their offensive since April, and nothing works, because with the density of our anti-tank means, with our artillery, going straight head-on is a futile affair. Just like Vladimir Putin said recently, give the troops some time to respite. Give the troops some respite. So, the formula itself, I do like it. Give troops respite. There is a natural barrier there, alongside the river Seversk, Seversky Donets, which goes through Seversk. So we'll see how they will be crossing that once they get to it. So Putin's people talked today that they got to the borders of Lugansk region. Is it true? Well, they're lying as usual. If we're showing the map now, where roughly does it go? I don't see the map, sorry Mark, so I'll have to open another map to to be able to show you. Because they always put statements that we completely control Lugansk region. Now it matches with LNR, Lugansk People Republic, or LNR in Russian. Yeah, bullshitting is their profession. I'm sorry for bluntness. Alright, so it is a bit to the west from Berestova, Belogorovka. So there is some gray zone there that formally that region is not completely theirs. This is roughly a small, that gray out area before the red, this is generally a small area. They will probably try to capture it. But let me ask you a dumb question. What does it change, really? From my point of view, nothing. It seems it's much better to withdraw than to get encircled and get destroyed. And frankly, that part doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Well, you've seen my post this morning. Yeah, I did. So I wrote it there, what I meant. But I understand both sides, and especially Russia is claiming that they succeeded completely. If you look at it, both sides fulfilled their general tasks for that part. They reached almost the borders of Lugansk region, and we grinded them several times over when we destroyed over 60% of their troops several times, and we created a front where we can hold them when it's easier for us to resist. So there's been, some time ago, they've been advancing on five parts of this front. These days, it's 3 and 3. 3 have our initiative, 3 have their initiative. So Shoigu said that Ukraine military lost 5,000. Among them, over 2,000 completely lost, meaning dead. Is that true? Is that at least relatively true? 25,000 mark. 50 or 75. Oh yeah, and 70,000 Bayraktars. And how do we gauge their losses? Because they would say, we're lying and you are lying. According to our estimates, they lost 3 brigades and a couple of tank battalions. So about 2,500? No. One brigade is about 2,500 people. So about 7,000 people, maybe a little more. They lost taking that area. How can we gauge that? How can we check that? Because people on the other side would be saying, no, we know it differently. How do we check? We check by means of channels that are usually not a major knowledge. For most people, intel works. Could it be some of the kind people from Russian command sending you some data? That's exactly how the intel works, usually. 4 rotations, Mark. In some parts, 5 rotations. In the basis of which there is a loss of battle worthiness by up to 70%. Complete loss of 70%. So that, and also armor, artillery losses, and not just that, also the losses in the back and logistics. Just today, 4 big ammo depots, Teres, Snezhnoye, and a couple more. Is it all being shot by artillery or HIMARS? Something very far-reaching and pretty shooting. So what is far-reaching? Something American, something not Russian? Probably in honor of Independence Day, Oh, right, okay. By the way, do you know that, again, that Russian propagandist Skabeyeva with another dude are discussing us on their show. What are they talking about? Oh, they're talking that you are sad, that your morale is down, that you're not looking happy anymore. And me, I'm just, howling in accordance with your sad statements. Okay, interesting. And after that, they switched the subject to Shoigu with his statement that he was wearing his orders, looking military successful. He hasn't shown up in his military uniform for a while, but today, yeah, they did discuss that he was fully dressed up as the head of Russian military. Alright, so that's lyric. Let's go to other directions. On Uglyadarsk we're kicking them, on Zaporozhye we're advancing, and Kherson we're also advancing and getting them with artillery. By the way, Melitopol, there was a surprise. They got there with the slogan, let's get new Chernobyevka, and we kind of fulfilled their wishes. There are several dozen of dead and a lot of destroyed ammo. And before that, we hit a few more ammo supplies, operative supplies behind the back of the troops that are defending or advancing. And that gives its results. Alright. Let's see how much closer we are to counteroffensive in Kherson, because some people are saying that since we're losing cities, some people in commentaries are especially vicious about that since we're losing cities in the east, where from we'll get the troops on the south. How does that work? To take scary cities and towns on the east, they took 60% of everything they had in Ukraine. So when they had issues, they started withdrawing from Kherson. When Kherson started getting in trouble, they took some troops from Zaporozhye and added to Kherson, and even to Lysychansk as well. That also indicates that there are not much support coming from Russian Federation. Also, recently, the last detachment, 18th Division from Sakhalin Island, actually also engaged in this war. So this is the last detachment that has never been in this war before. And when the 200th Brigade, which is a weird name for a detachment, not so lucky, they're refitting it with seamen, with people who used to serve on the ships. That tells you that they're out. They're really scraping the bottom. And adding the Sakhalin Brigade to the fight. So I understand that some people want me to comment some of the vicious comments that, oh, they left Lysychansk and Severodonetsk. We'll take it back the way we left it. And for their opportunity to announce that they've taken Lysychansk for a month, well, okay, so what of it? They lost their scary might on the east of Ukraine, having plans to conquer the whole territory, the whole country. Okay, look, at Shoigu's statement, they did mention Lapin. They actually awarded him for the operation with the title of Hero of Russia, and he is apparently in the command of the Group of Armies Center of Ministry of Defense of Russia. So let's see. At first they talked a lot about Dvornikov, then about Zhitko, that he replaced him on this position. Now we find out that Putin named Lapin and Surovikin, and he actually said that he did speak to them before Shoigu, So Surovikin is in charge of the south, Lapin is in charge of the center. I understand only Lapin got rewarded. Surovikin did not get anything too early. Yeah, Surovikin probably should be punished for what's happening in the south. They're retreating in 3 places already. He said, Putin said he talked to him today. I don't know what he was saying there, though. Like, what else can he report? I lost another 300 soldiers in the last 24 hours. Yeah, they don't usually get punished for that. I know, yeah, it's Russian army. So, is there a common command? Is there a general command? Or since it's split into center, south? Yeah, I think it's Rudskoy. He's the head of one of the chiefs in the central command, and the level of such operation, he should be one of the vice faces in the general command. And those 2 others, they're commanding with the directions, and they are making a sort of a competition between them. And Surovikin is now being patted on the cheek, reminded that, look, Lapin is a hero, and you couldn't even do anything, and you were retreating. So now they'll try to push him to see, to change his strategic position on the front, because one got rewarded, another didn't. You know my favorite joke about 2 generals in the Ministry of Defense, when one is taking the other to the side and saying, Petrovich, what's happened? Where are your orders? Where are your medals? Oh my god, I forgot to take them off the pajamas. Yeah, I know. That tells you about their culture. Okay. We also got another reward. Asidula Abachev from, pure Ukrainian, just by the name. And he's apparently an active participant from Lugansk People's Republic Army. He was rewarded a hero of Russia, and they did not elaborate on why. What's happening there with those people? How much have they what are their losses on the front? I think in general it's about half, 55%, judging by some of the reports that we see. Let me state a very bold prediction. I don't really have to lose much with my previous predictions, so I'll say one more thing. This is the last success of Russian army on the territory of Ukraine. You know you'll be spat upon. Tomorrow they'll take some little village with 3 houses and they'll be spitting on you from all directions. No, I mean the big one. Of course, they might take a small village. So where's your confidence coming from? Oh, I know what's happening there, and their troops. I am telling you. Give me more details. I was telling you, I don't know where can they take more reserve to defend it. Look, Lysychansk, Severodonetsk, Rubezhne, the agglomeration of 3 towns. They spent the span of 4th of April to 4th of July. 90 days, everything they had, concentrated all of their 60% of their force, of entire force in the Ukraine. They lost a lot of people there, got shelled, got attacked, and they didn't even take it. We withdrew. We gave it to them. And that's the hassle. They're saying that we destroyed them completely. There's nothing left. That's why we're taking it. We left Severodonetsk, Mark. They've been fighting for a day and a half with an empty city. They've been shelling it for a day and a half after we left, and our commanders didn't know smile or cry over that. And when they took Lysychansk, there was nobody there. There were maybe a couple of groups of special forces in the vicinity, but yeah, they've been storming the empty city for 2 days again. They've been attacking it, getting their medals and awards and heroes of Russia. Sure, let's see how they perform with the next towns, Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. You know, they also have to get to the border of the Donetsk region, and I don't know how, should I cry or smile, looking at the distance they have to walk. Okay, so there is a question here. All right, they're imitating something. What is the principal change in the tactics that is supposedly affected by straightening the front line? What could be their calculation? How to suppress Ukrainian resistance, at least in Kramatorsk and Slaviansk? What will they do? Try to bomb? No, Mark, they will not be doing anything new. They'll be playing the old e2, e4 chess game move. They'll be moving on the flanks, trying to surround us here and there, so we would be scared and leave. And that would be what, another 90 days? I'll gladly observe that. One has to understand that's how they were taking a protrusion, which was very difficult to hold. Yeah, we've been looking on that map protrusion for a while, and it's being it could be shot at from both sides. Protrusion is at least 3 times the line of front than the straight line of front that you need to hold, which is very difficult to hold. On the other hand, it's a very attractive target for Russian troops, and they were like ants attacking a wet sugar, getting onto that protrusion. And now they'll have to. Now they're there. And if they were trying to take that protrusion for 90 days, right now the straightened front line is definitely not to their advantage. The density of our troops and fire is absolutely going to be devastating for them. What they're saying, and I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here and tell how they defend their position. In Russia, they're saying that in the previous defense line, Ukraine created a very strong defense line that was very difficult to take. And everything beyond that is much worse, because it has not been fortified, and it will be much easier for Russian troops to roll over that. That's how they say. What is wrong here? Well, let them show. Let them show their mastery. We invite them to the new defense line, and they have a chance to show results and demonstrate how amazingly well they do it. Maybe get more medals and more heroes of Russia. We're awaiting anxiously. All right, awaiting anxiously. We have over 400,000 people watching us. Over 100,000 left their likes. Again, asking all the viewers. Some of you have been pretty slovenly joining us. Please share links to that stream in social media, Twitters, other places. See if we can get another 50,000 to watch us today. All right, we talked about that. Now about the Crimea bridge. We discussed that before. They were doing some of the exercise there with smoke, and actually it's an automobile bridge, so it actually did cause a couple of car crashes during that exercise. So today they put some barge with light reflectors. Tell me more, what's happening? I heard that was the reason to disorient the missiles in case of attack on the bridge, and to somehow cancel the military capabilities that Ukraine could use on that bridge. Smoke screen, light reflectors, trying to save the bridge somehow. Mark, you know, the power and weakness of Putin's regime is the same thing. 95% of what they're doing for Putin. They're not doing for defeating Ukrainian missiles. We don't have anything to actually reach it. It's out of range. And I believe the Ukrainian side will never confess, even if they could reach it. Well, Perhaps they listened to something that we talked about, maybe some of our official statements or media, and they gave an order to defend or do some defensive maneuvers. And they started. Yeah, I'm telling you, they may be listening to what you're saying here. And maybe somebody like Kirienko told Putin that they have missiles with laser targeting. How do we deflect laser targeting? I'm just speculating, perhaps put 20,000 mirrors, just like Archimedes did back in Greece, and try to reflect the laser pointer. Do you think, wait a sec, do you think it's possible? Physically? I don't know what is possible in their head. Yeah, it reminds me of, remember how they were welding metal bed posts to the tanks? Trying to defend from javelins? Yeah, so, and put all deflectors on a barge, and that somehow will save it. And now that joint force group is ready to defend the bridge. And now they have border guards of sea forces of FSB, naval group, infantry, special forces. Translating that to real world, we put some soldiers with mirrors on the barge, and the barge will be maneuvering and will be trying to deflect or catch the missile with that. I don't have any other explanation to what they're doing, literally. Now they have, I'm glad to help them, and now they have something to write in their analytical script to Putin. 20,000 soldiers with mirrors, because if they manage maybe to deflect the laser signal, missile may get upset and fly to some different target, perhaps. So this is all an imitation, right? How would you call it? They do keep two groups of anti-air defense. They're trying, they're doing their best, but these are old measures. Vladimirovich will ask again, did you reinforce the group? And if he asks how, what else did you tell him? We need to invent something new, and they're not brave to tell that, whatever we're holding, that's good enough. So yeah, they'll now be able to say that they got a super modern system developed in Skolkovo and the Russian Science Technology Center by the Center of Innovative Development. So all that fluff can be overcome by regular missile munitions. Yeah. If one really needs it, it can be overcome. Yep. But why I'm asking, because you did sink Moscow, you did sink oil platforms. So why all the hassle if it's so pointless? Well, it's not entirely pointless. It's all fighting different scenarios, and sometimes people fight pretending or trying to or playing around different scenarios and see if they can somehow mitigate one thing or another. So they're trying. On a certain level, I understand they need to report some activity and some success, so that's what they're doing. All right. I think we covered that subject. Now let's get to the shellings, because in Donetsk and on the territory of Russian Federation itself, there are some targets hit that they were reporting. I think you've read the news, and there were a few explosions. What, did they smoke in the wrong place again? Yeah, we don't shoot Russian Federation territory. They just keep violating different security measures, and things explode. And I heard that 61 dead, 131 wounded, roughly. That's during the last week. But one needs to understand that whatever happens on the territory of Russian Federation cannot be viewed as our response in military on civilians. We only fight military targets, and whenever there is some civilians dead, they usually find a missile from Panzer Russian system that has enough explosives to kill more people around. And they're hitting Slaviansk and Kramatorsk with heavy systems with cassette munitions, which are specifically painful for peaceful citizens. In Lysychansk, there was a fragment when people got to the water supply line and they hit it. They were badly wounded citizens. People lost their limbs, legs and arms, and that's what they do with civilians. So in Russia, yeah, they'll be continuing more things related to violations related to smoking and other things on the military or supply positions, but we're not targeting civilians, and we're trying to plan it the way that civilians do not suffer. All right, 31 minutes, we're live, 426,000 watching us, over 120,000 likes. Thank you so much. Subscribe to Feygin Live, to Olexiy Arestovych, and to the privateer station if you are watching that in English. All the links are below that video. Let's discuss another news. Finland and Sweden finished in one round their negotiations about joining NATO. It will be signed officially shortly, regardless of position of Turkey. And I understand Minister Kuleba, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, already said that, look, without preliminary hurdles, in 2 months a country can get to NATO membership. Where's the logic? Does it mean that there may be another campaign about maybe returning Ukraine membership in NATO on the table? I don't know if that adding these two countries and Madrid summit, if it adds additional probability for Ukraine. There's not much about integration in those documents, but there's definitely a lot of statements about supporting Ukraine. I don't know about details of that joining of the countries, but we will be using that precedent for sure. This is a very strong story. The road to NATO is difficult, but right now we can rely on that precedent and say, there's no need for trial. You've accepted two countries that are under threat, especially Finland, who's a border country with Russian Federation and even has a history, pretty rough history of warfare with Russia. So there are some arguments in NATO about Ukraine. So how do the arguments look like? Well, the basic statement is that if Ukraine joins NATO, NATO needs to fight scary Russian army. And do you think Russia will fight NATO if they wake up one morning and find that Ukraine is NATO? I don't think so. And even if they do, they'll lose within a week. Well, can there be any compromise? Maybe take the territory of Ukraine into NATO, the one that is being controlled for the moment, that if that territory is being attacked, or, I don't know, another shelling of Kremenchuk, that means that you are attacking territory of NATO. That is a very difficult discussion mark as well, because negotiations prove. I talked to Poles, to Baltic countries, to Czech people. Nobody was accepted easily. You have to be very proactive. You have to be reaching your goals. Joining NATO is never a cakewalk, usually. The real part, though, is integration into European Union. That is real for sure. President, Prime Minister, and the Head of Parliament signed several laws in power that will expedite our joining European Union. So this is going full steam. And joining European Union is much easier. And Ukraine already fits most of the hardest criteria that they have for the joining members. And this is a very strong argument if the country is in European Union, even for the most skeptical parts, because frankly, European Union and NATO are not too different. It's essentially same countries, except the United States and Canada and Britain. There are parts of both, and then it could be, a two-step thing. Join European Union, and after that, there'll be enough arguments to convince even more skeptical opponents. And by that time, the war may be done with our victory. And then there'll be not a question. All right. I think they're looking for arguments, probably a battlefield victory, which is easier to integrate a victor. You actually get dividends from victory. So yeah, here it's pretty straightforward. Victory will happen. It's more of a function of getting the supplies, new armaments. What it goes to is that the West did not have enough supplies for big continental warfare. And since many of them, most countries except for the United States, were systematically destroying their military. And whenever it came to enough money and armaments for big continental warfare, not Afghanistan or Iraq, they had nothing. They're saying that their factories are working in 4 shifts. I don't know how they do it in 4 shifts, but that's what we heard. So they're manufacturing supplies, and probably about autumn times will have a very hefty stick to whip those heroes of Russia who were awarded for taking some villages very, very far back. And I think they can understand. They do understand in Russia. That's why they're in a hurry, because they understand that situation may change soon. And that's where they're sort of in a hurry, because we'll try to take most and then try to defend what we took, and then we'll scream referendum and we'll defend that taken territory as if it was Russia with nuclear weapons. And then they'll be stating, well, we're not advancing, Ukraine is attacking us now. But this will not work. We do not care about their nuclear attacks. We have been hitting them, we will continue hitting them. All right. We are live over 37 minutes. We have one more subject. Pretty important. 7th set of sanctions. Somebody said they're going to take within a month. No, review, Mark. Review, not adopt. So in a month there'll be a document ready based on which there'll be final discussions. Because every hit on Ukrainian city, every hit on civilians expedites that. And they figured that in Russia, I think they're already starting to figure that they can continue hitting Ukraine with missiles, but then Ukraine all of a sudden gets anti-missile defense or another 3 HIMARS. And eventually it becomes pretty sad on the front for Russia. So over there, the discussion about natural gas embargo, its inclusion into 7th set of sanctions is being discussed, kind of slow. Some countries are saying we'll need a year or till the end of the year. You know, why Gazprom is limiting their natural gas supplies? Because they want to limit the gas depots' filling rate in Europe, because they're storing gas. And Germany already, I think Germany said that they can hold for a month or 2, and that's a good time. They're basically creating a cushion so they can get more liquefied natural gas to Europe. And they're preparing their citizens. They're telling that the price will rise. You'll try to save gas here and there, but they will not be a catastrophe. Right now, in their storage, there is enough gas to help them fare through the next cold season. With issues, and it'll be bumpy, but without catastrophe. We just passed 3 days ago a point when America supplied more natural gas to Europe than Russian Federation. And that will change. There is still a long time to winter. It's just July beginning. So they'll fill remaining capacities and reservoirs. Politicians like playing with public opinion and scare people a little. And then say, see, we saved you. We told you that's going to be scary, and then we saved you. It was going to be horrible, 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 and ended being just scary. So I'm not too afraid of that, and I don't think they should be either. Right now one can methodically just eat popcorn and observe the accumulation of armaments and growth of potential that will help us to take back our lands. And I'll repeat it once again, that was the last major success of Russian Federation in Ukraine. Maybe they may take one more town. That's about it. Okay, we'll touch one last subject here. We're going over our usual limit, over 40 minutes. Russian propaganda is showing some videos from mostly Lysychansk. Severodonetsk is probably empty. I don't know if that's local citizens or they brought again some civilians to jump in front of their cameras. I suspect maybe there is some part of populace that supports them, and maybe they stayed. I'm always saying, give them some time. Those are the ones that are happy jumping. There's usually SS troops following the Wehrmacht, because right now it's not even Wehrmacht, it's Wehrmacht light. After that, Gestapo will follow, and after that, those people happily jumping now will reposition their happy bow ties to other parts, body parts, and might change their position and their view on that war. Do you think that those citizens, any of those citizens, do you think they're real ones who coming out celebrate Russians, or those are complete fake? Mark, you need to understand that nothing occasional may end up on Russian TV. It was all shot on purpose, and in a certain fashion, and it's not a big problem to find people who will open the gate and come and put that special ribbon or bow or something. And there are not many people like that, but there may be some. And also, some of them will do that just out of fear, not to repeat Bucha again. If you're surrounded and taken by enemy, what do? You pretend you support them. And as for collaborationists, we have about 11,000 cases open. Not too many, I would say, for a 40 million country that is in an active warfare with an enemy. Of course, there'll be some elements in Kiev and some other cities who actually target or help Russians target missiles. But those are single items, single cases. They're not en masse. In the Second World War, how many of those were? They calculated everybody into that resistance force, Hivi Ronas and other groups that were fighting, Cossacks, battalions, Brigade of Kaminsky, all those people who were fighting against USSR, they were about 2.5 million or so. So they were counting millions and hundreds of thousands back then. Now, what do we count? 10,000? Who lost their ethics in life? That is not a serious thing. This is not a serious political step they can count on, political force they can rely on. By the way, I just got a piece of news that in Melitopol, one of the bridges was blown up. One of the bridges we discussed, remember, that the supplies were coming through, just got blown up. Our military hit it. By the way, Melitopol, that dude with last name Turchak, one of the Russian congressmen, I believe, or senators. Amazing how many people have Ukrainian last name. Oh, that's what they're trying also. A lot of generals, they're fighting in Ukraine, they have some Ukrainian last name. Why are they doing it? I read that sometimes they think it helps them to feel better or achieve things in the front. It's not a big deal, really. I read stats somewhere that at least 11 million of Russian citizens have their direct relatives in Ukraine. So they're sort of freeing their motherland. It's maybe that's how they play it. Because how else do you bring a teacher to teach in the occupied territory from a city in Russia? She needs to have some relatives in the area, or push some other buttons like repopulating the old, whatever, forgotten family domain. So we've been 45 minutes live. We're trying not to cross usually the time frame. 450,000 watching us. 150,000 left their likes. Despite that there were a lot of you today, please keep sharing links to that stream. Leave your likes and subscribe to that media. Subscribe to Feygin Live, to Olexiy Arestovych, and to the Privateer Station. Tomorrow we do have a cast, the usual. There'll be news about our charitable project. We're trying to expand it a little. There's a barcode on the screen on the left bottom. We're finishing important things and we'll try to help a little more because, we're trying to help those who suffered severely, who lost their limbs or close ones. We have a lot of requests and we're trying to fulfill those and diversify things a little. Because OpenSea, some stuff is selling there, but it's pretty slow. We have about a little over a dozen candidates, and we're trying to give them noticeable amounts of money, so please support that effort as well. See you tomorrow, Olexiy. We will talk tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow.